We are getting so close to finishing the Galina bra. In this video, we will finish. Where I left you off on the last video was sewing the fold over elastic along the top back band, the top of the cups, as well as the extension, is that what you want to call it? Which will become the straps. I jumped ahead a step because I think that it's easier for you to understand this step if I showed you the after rather than explain it before. You might hate me at this step because this probably is the most meticulous step that there is for the Galina, is that with the monowire inside the channeling, I'm taking a deep breath before telling you this next step. You will sew down the channeling. You have to be super careful. This is where you take your time and you slow down and you make sure that you do not break a needle. I've broken a needle and it's completely okay. We will survive. If you break a needle, that's fine. You just replace it and then keep going. But you are going to stitch super close to that outer edge of the channeling with a straight stitch all the way around. This stitch is essential because if you don't put in this stitch, the monowire will flip up. We've tried it on pretty much everybody that we tried it on. The monowire flipped up, didn't look good, wasn't a good look. So you will use a straight stitch, back stitch at the beginning and the end. You'll stitch all the way around. Good news is that once you get through that step, you're smooth sailing past that. So the step that comes after that is attaching the bottom band to the bottom of the bra. Now before you sew the stitch along the channeling, look at the amount of fabric that you have underneath the bra cups. Just because of the turn of the cloth, with the way that you might have sewn, with the way that you might have cut, listen, perfection's overrated. You might not have a lot of fabric here. If that is the case, a solution for you is that you attach the bottom band before you attach the monowires. There are some people who have made the Galina and they've sent their comments and they said it was a lot easier to attach the bottom band before attaching the channeling, so it's up to you. I still have some fabric here where I can sew the bottom band, so I am going to do it afterwards. So really, this step is really easy. So you are going to overlap the bottom of the bra and the band 1/4 inch. And then you're going to sew it with a zigzag stitch all the way from end to end. Now, with any underwire bra or any bra that you have a hook and eye, it's really important that before you attach the band, you make sure you take your hook and eye or whatever closure that you're going to put at the center back and make sure that it's going to fit. So I am going to overlap this 1/4 inch and then I'm going to put up my hook and eye and say, is this going to fit? And if you see there's a little bit hanging low. So instead of overlapping this 1/4 inch, I'm going to overlap it about 1/8 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch so that the hook and eye will fit. Also at this step, you want to insert your channeling. Not your channeling, you want to insert your plastic boning into your channeling. So this is really easy. You're going to put this inside the channeling. What I like to do is I like to put it inside all the way to the top where the fold over is. Take it out, just a hair, cut it, and then push it back inside. So. Also, if you've made some of Madeline's other patterns before, we usually start the bottom of the bralette. You can do that if you want to, and if you have enough room underneath here, but it's not necessary since these fabrics don't fray. Take it out a little bit, and then I will chop this off. Okay, now I'm gonna sew the bottom band since my channeling is, or my boning is inside. When you sew the bottom band to the bottom of the bra, you should be stitching over this channeling. So you shouldn't be underneath it, you should be stitching over it. So on the bottom band to the bottom of the bra, a comment that I have received is that the band rides up or flips up directly underneath the cups. This is because you are attaching a straight trim to a curved edge. So on the Galina pattern, as well as the bra, it curves downwards underneath the bra cups and then upwards underneath the center front frame. So if you were to extend the frame a little bit down and straighten that out, that would be less likely to happen. A little trick though is that you can take your channeling. I'm using beige since the band that I'm using has this portion, these stripes where you could see through it. But if you were using just a solid band, you could use any color on the inside. So I want this color to be the color of my skin tone. You can sew a strip of channeling down on either side and then insert plastic boning, and that will help keep it down to let it lay flat. As close as I want my camera to be, it's really hard for me to show how to stitch it. So I'm gonna stitch it and then I'm gonna show you the finished product, and I think you'll have a better understanding of how it should be sewn. I sewed the channeling directly underneath the bra cups, inserted plastic boning in there, and as you can see, it doesn't roll up anymore. So the first thing I did is I sewed let me make sure it's in focus here, yeah. Sewed a straight stitch up, over, and when I got to the top, I did a back stitch just to add a little bit more security so that the plastic boning doesn't poke out, and then down again. Once I did that, I inserted the boning, and then I closed it off with a straight stitch. I stitched it back and forth a couple times just to make sure that the boning doesn't come out. So the second to last step, it's a pretty easy step, is attaching the hook and eyes, and then we'll go on to the straps. So this is really easy. You open the tape and then you put the back band inside and then you sew it as close to the edge as possible. The eyes are really easy. On the hook side, you have to sew with the hooks face up. And you will have to move your needle position so that you can get it underneath the presser foot, so that your presser foot can go on top of the tape, but you don't want the hooks to be underneath your presser foot. So I'm going to do a little close-up so that you could see exactly how that is done. Are you ready for the last step, which is attaching the straps? Attaching the straps are not hard, it's just a bunch of little steps that all come together. In the instructions, I avoided giving specific measurements for these two straps. And that's because everybody's torso is a little bit different. You might carry the weight of your breasts higher or lower, which would affect the way that the straps fit. So I suggested that you try this on at this point once you've attached the hooks and eyes, and pin it where you like it to lay, where you want the ring to be. You also can have the ring on the front or over your shoulder on the back. So I'm gonna leave that up to you. So what you would do is, with this whole thing, you would just put your ring through both straps. Fold it down, and then you'll sew it with a straight stitch back and forth, let's say 5 times. You want to give this a little extra security. You don't want this popping off. Okay, And you're gonna have to move your needle position again, or you might have to move your needle position, you might not have to get close to the ring, but make sure not to hit it. And then we'll get on to the sliders. So for the sliders, you're gonna take one slider and you're gonna feed it up and over that center bar and then down again. What you don't wanna do, let me show you the wrong side. So it's through that center bar. What you don't wanna do is you don't wanna put it through one of the side sliders so that the middle one is empty. You wanna go up and over that center bar and then down again. And you wanna fold it back about, let's say 3/4, and you're gonna stitch super close to the slider. You may have to move your needle position in order to get close to the slider. And then you're gonna stitch back and forth. And this is what it should look like finished. I'm just gonna trim that really close to the stitching. And then once this is finished, you're gonna turn your bra wrong side up. You're gonna feed your strap elastic through the ring, so that the shiny side, this is the shiny side, through the ring and up and over that center bar and then down again. And this distance from the ring to the slider should be about 1 inch. And the length of this strap is going to depend on where you put the ring and how long you made that. So again, after you've sewn this, I would sew this and then try it on and measure where you want, how long it should be. And then you are going to 1 1/4 inch away from the hook and eye at the center back. You're going to lay this under, and you're gonna sew it with a straight stitch back and forth. You can sew it just at the top of the back band, or you can sew it at the top of the back band and where the bra meets the back band. It's up to you. If it's stitched at both places, a little bit more supportive. But if you're a smaller cup size or a smaller band size, you could get away with just tacking it at the top. Finished sewing the Galina bra. If you made it to this point, you should give yourself a big pat on the back and round of applause for sewing the entire bra from start to finish. If you made it to this point, the panties are going to be so easy. Some of the kits that we came out with feature a halter strap variation. So I wanted to quickly go over this after you sew the straps, because I feel like they would make a lot more sense once you sewed the straps. So if you're going to do this alteration, when you go to try on the bra, you would pin it to where they would cross over. You would stitch it down where they cross over. You obviously have one going back, and then for the one that is attaching, you would have 2 extra rings right here. And what I suggest when you try it on is that to attach the rings and then attach a strap elastic in between those rings so that you know how wide to make this. You're going to construct this strap elastic and wrap it around the rings exactly like you constructed the back strap elastic and wrapped it around the front ring. Okay, and that's it. So let's move on to the panties.